I think we might as well.
Yeah, come on, let's have a...
No, because he can't see the back of heads, you see. So we
He's
can't...
filming us.
Okay, we can't have... okay.
Unless they came here.
Or here.
Yeah.
There's Donna's going to do.
Come on, we can squeeze up
Come on now. Seems right.
Yeah, we can
All
go
right,
up
okay.
and pull that chair up that side.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Donna, come. Oh, that's good. Donna, there's a chair. Oh, we can just move up, and you can
There's a
sit.
chair
You
there.
can sit on there.
So we have a period now for having a roundtable discussion on issues that we discussed this morning, that were discussed this morning in presentations. So I thought maybe perhaps we should just begin by asking those who did not speak whether they have any particular questions to those who spoke. And how about you, Francis? Because you made some questions during Ulrika's talk.
I did. What I think I've heard a lot about is whether architecture can change public behaviour. And that certainly seemed to be a part of the theme of Ulrika's talk. Can you use buildings and urban design to influence the way that people behave? And a lot of the issues we're talking about today, I mean, Parveen made points about behaviour and smoke and public health, are areas where changing behaviour is really important. I mean, you showed us pictures of rivers full of rubbish. And we heard about smoking and dietary habits. And some of these are the inevitable result of poverty, but a lot of them are the result of people's assumptions about the right way to behave. And one of the most difficult things for a country in the course of development is to persuade people, that you don't drive like a maniac, you don't drive when you're drinking, you obey the rules about smoking indoors, you obey the rules about where you put rubbish. And I just want to hear from the architects around the table whether you can think of examples where this has actually succeeded and where architecture has had this impact.
Can I just were there any other questions? We have the mayor here. And you know about, I wonder whether you have any views on what Ulrika, or any comments on Ulrika's talk?
No, because I was not here. So, but I'd like to maybe get some feedback on this question,
yes,
and then I'll make some comments.
Well, the others. Well, I wanted to ask a couple of questions because what you were discussing was an interesting question, particularly the effect of big roads and roadway systems through the city. I mean, I have at home an Encyclopedia Britannica of about 1970, and it says there under London, do come to London quickly because they're going to build all these super highways and then London will be ruined. Of course, they didn't build them. And in Cambridge, the difference in Cambridge and Oxford, it's interesting. We had the borough engineer from Oxford came to Cambridge. He said, you can't do anything in Cambridge until you have a ring road around it like they have in Oxford. And we said, no, we're not going to have a ring road, but we have pedestrianisation. So I was just wondering, there are some very big planning alternatives. And what was your recommendation, and what has Tirana finally done about this question of having sort of almost, it seemed like in some of your pictures, a super highway going through the centre, or as it were, more relying on public transport and keeping much of the traffic outside of the centre?
Okay, but I think I have a very clear view on this, but I think for this we would have to show the context for each city better, because I was
it is.
also
It's
showing
different
different cities and they have different contexts. So, and I didn't have time to go into detail now. I mean, urban planning is a very complex matter, so. In the case of Tirana, we have a transport problem. So we have, let's say, these beautiful, the city exploded, it manifolded in 20 years, and it's like, and the whole infrastructure planning was absolutely lacking behind. Now the government is picking that up since a few years, and there's a new ring road built because we have to by-route let's say the inter-urban traffic between different cities. The small ring road is under construction right now, something we were planning to do since long time. Finally, it's done. Thank you. And and only then, if we have regulated this transport or finalizing the old planning and new planning of transport system, we can actually engage more social projects like the Skanderbeg Square, which I have shown, pedestrianizing the city center, because at the moment all the traffic from Durrës to Elbasan runs through the traffic center.
Yeah,
so these are, I mean, I'm just putting it into a short context. The boulevard extension I've shown you, I think, could have been smaller. This is my personal opinion. But we also talked about lack of data which is so also we don't have the city of Tirana does not have enough data to really about the transport situation, the future perspective, and so on. So in a way, with this boulevard extension, we also wanted to play safe, to release traffic to the outer ring road and to ensure that the city center will work without so much traffic in the future. So these are, that's a very, very shortcut of things. So there's not enough data on really how the whole transport system performs right now and how it will perform in the future, also with the priority projects ongoing already. That's Tirana. Then another very funny thing in Flora, where I have the full political support from high level on enacting there, we're actually minimizing roads now. So the local government was totally crazy about building whatever government was doing that. I don't know if it was only the local government, but they built huge roads which are totally unneeded. So, and even destroying the touristic potential, because this is a city directly on the beautiful bay on the sea, and so they wanted to build a 6-lane highway right on the sea, where at the moment there's a 2-lane road. So, and there was an international competition won by Xavier Reiter Architects, and in the course of that project we minimized this road, and it caused a huge discussion with the local government. You cannot imagine. So I'm trying. There's a lot of rethinking needed, and a lot of discussion and convincing everybody in the local society. This is about the infrastructure.
Can I just redirect your question about the difference that architecture makes to the mayor? Because one of the great things about being an architect is when you have what I call an ambitious client, because architects can't do anything without commission unless they're in developers, is that there's a sort of unspoken dialogue between the architect and the client, and an unspoken agreement that architecture makes a difference. So I'd like to ask somebody I see as an ambitious and enlightened client to say what you expect, what difference you expect to make, and whether that's actually happening in Tirana.
Here's maybe a follow-up to Ulrike's comments. I think architecture is key in altering behavior, and one of the issues that we're facing with transport and the basic data that we have is that we found out that from a nation without anyone owning a private car, except for the Politburo, went to a nation where everybody fell in love with a car. So, like every teenager who falls in love for the first time, it's very difficult to coach them on, that you have found the wrong match. It's sort of this, patronizing attitude of telling a teenager, who they should date. So I think this love affair with the car, I think took Albania by storm, because all of a sudden it became a status. It became, I think, the main import of someone who had lived abroad or went as an immigrant to Italy or the UK. So you see a lot of people, with the wrong steering wheel, because of course this was a gift from the sons who lived in London and sending a British steering wheel car back to Tirana or other parts of Albania. So, question is, are we only talking about infrastructure architecture or also about social architecture? So we started doing a few calculations, and we found out that people in Tirana took 800,000 car trips a day, out of which 400,000 trips were less than a mile, less than a kilometer actually, which means that people were using the car to just go to the shop or to just go from one coffee house to the other coffee house, a favorite pastime of national sport of Albania. So the question is, how do we alter this behavior? So we came with a very provocative idea in our first month in office, and we said we're going to have Albania's first day without cars. In the beginning it caused a big row, but then we found out that our best allies were not the educated elites, not the enlightened, the Illuminati of the op-ed articles. It was children. And children are sort of your pro bono marketing agents, because they're the ones who scream at their parents to get off the car because the mayor said it's a day without cars, and they're the ones who demand that their parents buy them a bike or a hoverboard or a scooter or rollerblades or skateboard, and pretty much get their way, because no Balkan parent says no to their children, willing to spend anything on the children. So we found out that locking the city for cars actually went without a drama, because kids met their parents, and we had a city invaded by children that came out of the woodwork. We said, where do all these kids live? So some of I think, is it in the pictures that we're showing? Some of the pictures we're showing is that, look, it is possible. And it has to do mostly with social architecture rather than. And I think more and more we're using arguments such as, we were talking with our distinguished friend, the Lord here earlier, about the level of pollution and how this is not an abstract thing. This is up to us. If we use less cars, then the pollution goes down. So on those days without cars, we had an air meter of sorts. It really showed on how benzene and a lot of the, I don't understand nanometrics very much, but sort of a lot of this, pollutants in the air dropped below EU levels, and shows that, look, being European doesn't necessarily mean signing thousands of pages of agreements. It means living in European standard clean air. And what makes us European is not the number of treaties we go through, but the number of behavioral changes that brings us to a European standard, such as basic things like breathing good air in the city. We then made an agreement that, or made a decision in the city that every new investment from now on is to be accompanied with bike lanes and pedestrian space. So even this ring road, it's a bit of a chicken and egg. Do you first build the lanes, then people come? Or do you promote biking and cycling, and then you build the lanes? It's a bit of both. And then we found out in the last 8 months, the number of bike users has doubled. Now, doubled when it's already mediocre is, twice as much. But the trend is important.
Exactly.
And I think when people see the mayor taking a bike to work, when people see, important artists and others, and say, look, enough of this car thing. So when we started this public hearings about what I believe will be the largest pedestrian zone in any Southeastern European capital, which will be the Skanderbeg Square, some of the youth park, the complex of religious institutions, the new mosque, Catholic church, Catholic cathedral, King's Court, and some of those sort of historic sites, I think will be the largest chunk of pedestrian central space in probably any country in the Balkans. So the way we posed this was not as an architectural discussion, but rather as a lifestyle change, in which we said, we've got to make a decision in the city. Do humans work for the cars, or do cars work for humans? So if we design our life and says, where's my car going to go? Where will I park? Where will my lane be? Then this discussion never ends. The more, history has shown, the more roads you build, the more cars you get. And this is a slippery slope that never finishes. Third, we introduced a fancy concept for Albania, which is called paid parking, which didn't exist for 25 years.
Well done.
So then we realized, and now we tell people, say, well, wait a minute, I understand the big row and all the opposition disagreement with my decision to introduce paid parking, but did anyone notice that in the places where we charge for parking, there's no traffic? Because all of a sudden, these guys who just dump their cars there, go for endless coffees, just sit and do nothing just to sort of display their cars for people to see or sell their used cars. All of a sudden are charged, so they go away, and the plazas or the squares or the boulevards where we're charging. Now, this is not reinventing the wheel because civilized world has been doing this forever. But in the beginning, we told people, we said, look, why are you willing to pay in Rome and Athens and London, but not in your own town? And then we put a note behind the ticket, and we told people every penny you pay for this will go to more bike lanes and trees. And then we display the number of trees we plant every month based on the number of parking tickets we've gotten. So now, instead of people being upset, people are saying, oh, wait a minute, I am sponsoring a big greening project. I'm not just parking my car.
Do you put the car number around the tree?
No.
That's an idea.
That is an idea. But it might be issues of privacy. But then, fourth, another example was also using a sense of humor in trying to we were having a big problem in the early days in office, 8 months ago, with people urinating in public spaces. And I said, oh, wait a minute. Now, this is the same type of people who don't urinate when they go abroad. Why do they do it here? Why do they take the permit to do it here? Then we started putting some of this mobile loose, and it was still going on because it was a habit. You go under the Lana River and you do this, or behind monuments. So we found out that the city of Hamburg and the city of San Francisco use this very creative thing called hydrophobic paint. And that's a very cool thing because if you cover public art or public walls with this paint, it doesn't hold water and it bounces it back. You can you could either look at our page or but we produced this great video, and I think the campaign was called "If you pee on Tirana, Tirana pees back on you." And actually, so if water strikes or liquid strikes the wall, because it doesn't retain the wall of the hydrophobic paint, it actually drips it back on your shoes or your feet. So it was really fun and went viral. And all of a sudden, because we tried it with fines, and we had some of this campaign, we would put a sign and we said, look, if you do this, you get photographed, you go on Facebook for millions to see, and then it started to reduce it. But then when we used this humorous approach, it went down to zero, because no one wants to get peed back by a wall. So I think cities are phenomenal laboratories, not only of sort of physical architecture, but also of social architecture and social conduct. And I think because the topic, Elsie, that you used was combining health and architecture. As a city manager, I find it that health arguments, such as air pollution, such as cardiovascular diseases, we have 20% of our kids already obese by the age of 5. Now, also meaning adults later on. Now, this comes in a country where until 91, people didn't have enough to eat. Now we have too much to eat of the wrong stuff. So to see sort of within a generation, within my memory, you were born then, but I was 6 when Enver Hoxha died. So I do remember the trauma in the kindergarten when the news came out and all the teachers were crying like lunatics. Well, look at the footage in North Korea. Why do they cry and weep when he is? Because it's all it's all. But what I'm saying is that I probably belong to the last generation who remembers the time when people didn't have enough to eat and no cars, to a time where we're suffering severely of obesity and too much car use. And I think this connection of health arguments to impose different, or to encourage behavioral change that also helps the city, that decongests and decompresses, work hand in hand very well. So I'll stop at that.
Yeah, so.
Thank you. I'm not an architect, and I'm here from King's College London. I'm a researcher, a social scientist. I'm a researcher in addictions, so drug and alcohol addictions, and my area is in alcohol. And I'm looking at the presentations. I kind of had a link that had connected all the presentations, and it wasn't my observation. It was really about sort of engagement with the public, and I was quite. I heard about encouraging or involving the public in the actual modernisation, in the change. So it's about social agency. And so comments like make the population understand, explain it better persuasion. It sounds like there's a resistance, that you're working against a resistance. And when we do change something, it's a co-design, it's a collaboration. And even there was that picture of the ACOM, the future strategy, you know, it was all the technical terms because I'm not an engineer or an architect. And you know, what was the co-design process? Who were the people involved? Who it's going to be designed for? But, you know, was there what was the collaboration? What did it look like? So, when you have this sort of opportunity of change and involving the public, and I didn't hear a lot of that. So, please, if you, I'd like to hear a little bit more.
Just very quickly. The slide which said let's start at the very beginning is starting with children. That's where, in Ghana and here, that's where we start. So it's not even about education, it's about play. You know, and as you said, they're the best ambassadors for change. So not only do they learn and become imbued with the spirit, if you like, they go home and tell their parents, you know, because we're not there to tell their parents. And whatever messages need to be transmitted, in my view, are best transmitted by children. That's where most of our projects, certainly in Just Ghana and here as well, that's where we're starting. And we're starting with tiny amounts of money. We're not making grant applications. We're just saying, we have the people, we have the resources, we have the money, let's just start. So that's how I would answer it, but I'm sure that people would have different.
It's really about the process at the beginning. Like, yes, everything starts small because that is how it's a conversation in the living room that you mentioned, you know, how this came about, your collaboration with Donna. But it's the actual the involvement, and it's not tokenism. It's not you just ticked a box and you invited somebody. It's actually real power to influence, and that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
You go first.
Well, there's this famous ladder of Einstein of participation. And I'm going to be cruel now. I mean, I'm a foreigner and I'm allowed to say this, and nobody will politically harass me in Albania for it. I think Albania so far was on a ladder of participation level 1. So the best way we could do something for the public, as I perceived it, was basically manipulating them. Okay, so and this is due to and then of course if it was in a good interest, because it not always is. But I'm speaking now from what I tried to do many years. So I think now we're starting actually a new generation. I mean, you're a very young mayor, and I think I see a lot of more social agenda in the municipality, which I think shows also the new generation picking it up. So now it can go on level 2 or 3. But of course you have to take all the country and the population on board. I just give an example when the former mayor was making very fake presentations about the new urban plan, like what you call a framework plan for the city. First I thought they're fake, then I realized that they are, you're asking the citizen, what do you need, what do you want, is that good what we're presenting, and they just asked, how many floors will we be allowed to build? So let's say 99% of the request was just, I want as much square meters to be rich from 2 square meters. So let's say this is the level of collaboration on a few, I mean, I think it explains a little bit the situation. So, and I think then you have much broader thinking about how to engage citizens. So I would hand the word to you.
So, can I ask, I mean, in London, in this book, which I advertised at the beginning of London's Environment, we described a big project done by University College with the Greater London Authority up in Haringey, in which because they wanted to do a real replanning exercise as to how the new buildings would come and the roads and so on. So they gave all these large numbers of the people at that time small PCs, you know, to as it were, get the information and give their views on different, and then follow that up with meetings and so on. I mean, I was wondering whether what processes they are having in Tirana for sort of popular involvement in essentially planning. I mean, that's
yeah. Several fold. Actually, let me show you something. We have had a lot of fun and also good results with a great application called TI, which means in Albanian T means you, yeah. But TI also stands for Tirana Ime, My Tirana. And the application is a very fun tool for everyone to use, and we call it "You Can Be Mayor" for. You can run.
15 minutes.
No, but you can run the. Did I show you when you came to the office? It's very popular now because yesterday it was also available to iPhone users. Before it was only Android. But the application is a fun way for anyone to be mayor. How do they do that? It's based on a very concept called basic concept called See, Report, Fix. The question is that, you know, if you notice something going wrong in your city, is this the municipality's problem, or is it also your problem because you're a shareholder in this city? It has had phenomenal results when it comes to smaller things, participatory things like missing manholes, light bulbs being burned, street dogs, trash that has been picked up by the contractor, a sewage that was leaking in the street, or a water leakage in a neighborhood, or a school that was about to fall down. So we ran the campaign using people's reports. So instead of having a stump speech, we'd go to a neighborhood and speak about the 50, 60 reports that people had submitted from their neighborhood, which made it a lot more relevant. So now then we translated that tool. So the way it works is that, let's say it's something about cleaning. The category of cleaning, you upload your address. Okay, I'm in the UK now. I'm not going to have a cleaning crew from Tirana. Come here. Then you upload a picture from your GPS. So let's say this is the area that needs to be cleaned up. Take a picture of this. And you say use photo. Okay, so the photo is attached. And then you can do a little description. You say, you guys are horrible, you haven't cleaned this place for a month, you know, whatever. Ventilate or describe better the situation. You can decide to remain anonymous, or you can upload your information. I'm not going to press now because it's going to go to our dispatch. And be like, okay, London. But then everybody has their report card. And the way it works is that a city crew, so we have a dispatch office, the city crew would put in their work order, and then they have to take a picture back on how they fix the situation. So immediately people get it in their report card, whether it's it's under investigation or we're handling it, whether it's been fixed, whether it's been deferred to, let's say, another government agency that deals with that particular problem. And then in most cases, people will then have a picture sent back on how they fixed. And this has anything to do with bad parking or someone, locking an alleyway or larger investment.
To the Greater London Council.
We did it with Vodafone, actually, a UK company, for free. Then we said, look, with this issue with traffic, everybody thinks their car is important. So how do we give them a bird's eye view that we have at the city? So we said, look, why is it a taboo to give everyone access to the city traffic control room? So if you press on traffic, then you can have a live feed from, how many cameras do we have? 26 main interchange cameras. All right, so if I want to see how, for those of you who've been to Tirana, what the traffic looks now in the main boulevard by the Prime Minister's office. So I just press on this camera, and it would give me, if I have good internet with roaming, it will give me what the traffic, a frame from this very minute. Because of internet charges, we cannot have a live stream. But it pretty much shows you how, so for those of you who've been to Tirana from the airport, let's see how the road from, better internet. But it gives people a feeling that, look, it's not only me. There's thousands out there who are trying to access the city. And then...
But is this used by lots of people, or is it just, as you say, the op-ed crowd?
No, right. This is targeting mostly a younger crowd. People who never felt, and I'll go to explain how we involve, other different stratas. But the same thing with tourism. They can have a little digital map, use it as GPS to find out whether there's less traffic, where it will start to populate soon, to show where the traffic is. Anyway, so
And what's the uptake of smartphone users?
you'd be surprised. Just like this status for cars, the status for, so for a city of about 1 million, we have 400,000 users. So at the moment, we have just on Android, because iPhone was launched yesterday, 25,000 regular users of this app.
Really?
So it gives us a huge, it gives us, 25,000 pairs of eyes in the city of people who interact. Now, this is clearly superficial. So it gives you a very basic interaction with the city, and you say, look, I see something wrong, I report it. It makes you feel good when you get a reply back, and you say, geez, I actually made it happen. I photographed this, the city acted on it. I matter, I'm heard, they act on it. Now, when it comes to bigger operations like an urban plan, we are now working with Stefano Boeri, as you know, the famous Milan-based architect and his crew. And we are running the process in several levels. Of course, we're the client, so we demand a product that should be a guidance on where do we invest in residential areas, industrial areas, parks, agriculture, now that the city has exploded with this new administrative reform. But we're also having serious, we call them deliberative democracy sessions, tables like this, on particular topics where we're really hashing out ideas at the expert level. When it comes to projects that we've already pretty much designed and are ready for consultations, like the pedestrian area downtown, then we're doing rounds of hearings in all the boroughs of the city, in which we announce the hearing, and then people come, and we've also introduced there some technology. People say, look, how can I be sure what will this look like? And I think people are like children, no matter how old they are. They understand better with pictures. So what we did is we uploaded all of our architectural plans in a virtual reality format. So as of next week, other than doing these closed sessions, we will go in public spaces where people can put their VR glasses and really have a hands-on view, and then make comments on actual things that they see in virtual reality before they happen. And we've already had some wonderful, I think, amendments to the original project. People said it looks beautiful, but too much tile space in a hot country during the summer, which caused us to move the project from 85% sort of tile and rock and 15% greenery to a 50-50. People also thought it was very important to have a symbolic, because this is the main square of not only of Tirana, but of all Albanians. So then came the idea that we should use tiles and rocks from quarries from around the country and also Kosovo and others. So people have a sense of pride that there's a piece of rock from also their town. And,
Louis XIV did that in Versailles. He got all his rocks down in the south of France just after they had expanded. It was,
Sri Aurobindo did it in Oroville as well.
Important idea.
So that process going on when it comes to particular projects. But then we started this experiment in one of the boroughs where we told people, so look, we're going to fix the streets, we're going to fix the little parks, we're going to put stools, garbage cans. But when it comes to the facade of your own building, we're only going to provide the labor force. You contribute to the colors and to whatever the cleanup effort. So if you as a neighborhood put your little pennies together to buy the material, we will come and do the specialized work. People immediately said yes. And we thought they were going to have a lot of resistance. Oh, I pay taxes, I do this. Actually, people asked us first, she said, now that you've done this thing, if you could provide us with the scaffolding and the professional works, we will provide the materials to put colors to our buildings so it matches the investment of the municipality on the horizontal level, and then we'll do the vertical part. So it's a work in progress, but I think even if when people don't participate, because you always have your avid community organizer in the neighborhood who goes to these meetings. But even for those who don't, first they are out of an alibi that there was not a discussion. Second, I think they stay in peace with the fact that the advocate of the community who goes to all of these meetings is there to represent also your interest. And I think third and most importantly, we started establishing a new structure called community mediators. So each borough is divided in several building blocks, and we ask them to elect, let's say, a mediator with the municipality, someone who's like an ombudsman for the municipality. We give them a very small salary. It's not a full-time job, so we give them a little token amount to get people coffee when they meet, and that person becomes a spokesperson for the whole block. So in all of Tirana, we have 300 of these people.
Can I just stop? We're meant to be having, you're going to speak again this afternoon, in fact, on the schedule. But what we have...
Or maybe we can skip that.
No. But what we haven't just asked is about health and medicine and so on, which was part of this morning's session. And in fact, you who just commented on this point, which I felt, is the fact it's a very warm part of Europe there, and there, with climate change, there is this movement of as it were, warmer parts of southern Europe, and the dengue fever, and which there being considerable concern about the public health issues. And I just sort of wondered, whether the cities are being designed, because obviously the temperature of the cities is very important with climate change anyway.
The heat island effect of urban areas is quite dramatic and increasing, and with a rapid growth of population in Tirana, it must be a problem that needs managing, clearly.
But aren't there actually some new kinds of disease? I mean, that was a NATO meeting on climate change and public health.
Well, yeah, and termites are on their way north. Timber frame buildings are vulnerable, but.
Arlene, is that something?
No, that's absolutely right. I think the disease pattern is going to change, and I suspect many more infectious diseases are going to come in as well. Although at the moment they're going down and the others are going up. But we've had Ebola, we've now had Zika, we're going to get something else.
Pandemic risk, yeah.
And that's the other problem, I think, with where you are, is that you're surrounded by different countries. So I think things are going to be passing very easily across, and it's not too far away from Africa either.
No.
It's across the water.
Yeah, no, it's one way to go.
But in
It
terms
will
of
also
climate
have
change,
a very big effect on electricity demand,
yes.
and it's only very soon the global demand for electricity for cooling will overtake the demand for electricity for heating. and there is quite a lot of research going on in some places into more effective cooling techniques, but it's a case for paying a lot of attention now to the insulation and the heat-resistant properties of new buildings.
And the improvement of microclimate around buildings and on buildings,
Same
with green
thing,
roofs. And,
Absolutely.
Do you have air conditioning in most of the, is that an increasing trend of buildings? I imagine
It is an increasing trend, and it's a very ugly trend because they're all installed in the facades of the building. So
yes.
with all the old buildings, not only during communism but also in this transition area where there was no central heating or central air cooling, you get a huge problem with how these buildings look, and it really is an eyesore of how much money individually family units are spending just because of poor planning in the construction phase.
Yeah.
You haven't seen this. I presented this project, this prototype we developed for the student city number 2.
You need the microphone switched on.
Right, the cooling. Yeah.
So together with, we're in a consortium with 4 companies, and we developed, I'm the team leader, and we finished the design, it's intended now, the renovation of student city number 2. That's 4 big dormitory buildings, and we made a very adapted design to this, and I think it's a prototype you can easily take over for your buildings. So it's with floor heating and cooling in the future, and it's a central system which is unusual for Albania, especially in the it's more easy to implement in the public sector, of course, and that's what it's I think first to be adapted for. In the private sector, this will take quite some time. There's some really big resistance from the builders to build central systems. That has something to do with the real estate development and in general how real estate is developed and sold in Albania at the moment. So that central systems are not paying.
Can I just say that, I mean, actually I was showing somebody yesterday on the balcony of the House of Parliament, where you look across the river to the St Thomas's Hospital, you know, which was built and designed with the great influence of Florence Nightingale after the Crimean War, the 1850s, and the problem there and around the world is the question of can you build hospitals with natural ventilation that will and the interesting thing is the recent WHO report on ventilation in hospitals, second paragraph, quoting Florence Nightingale, because what she did, I mean, she had these great fires in the furnace in the wards, so that it would bring air in. And
that's exactly what we also created.
Right.
We have a passive. We have a passive intake and a small mechanical extract,
Yes.
and so it's like constantly.
Exactly. But the point is, in the United States, if America may influence you a lot, but in America, it is actually illegal to have a hospital which is not air conditioned. I mean, and this is completely crazy, you know. So the role of these big air conditioning companies and a sort of an unholy alliance with previously of the World Health Organization has been to push air-conditioned hospitals. So what are you going to do with your what is happening in Albania, Tirana? Is there something we are discussing? The question of what sort of
we haven't even begun to think about it yet. We're still taking little.
But anyway, you are thinking about it.
What strikes me is that there's an opportunity to leapfrog all the mistakes that have been made in the past.
Exactly, that's my point.
And that's the advantage of building afresh.
Yes. And the
we've got old buildings, so we're trying to, do that. Presumably there must be solar air conditioning now. I mean, can't they?
Probably not.
Yeah.
You need to use the microphone.
Oh, sorry. Well, I've asked the question. Solar, I mean, can't they use the heat to produce air conditioning?
Well, we're trying as much as possible to go for natural ventilation and using the movement of air and insulation to cool the building itself, because air conditioning, no matter how you cut it, is a heavy weight on power. So the design of the building I mean, when I was growing up in Ghana, we had fans, ceiling fans, and nobody had air conditioning. Now, the buildings, which are so beautifully designed for natural cooling, have the windows sealed and the air conditioning on full blast until the electricity goes off. Windows get open and everyone says, oh, how marvellous. Why do we keep our windows shut? So I think it's, in a sense, it's a bit like mobile telephony against fixed landlines. It's that sort of thinking, and it's the creative thinking, I think, that's important.
Anyway, this is an example, really, of very, very complex scientific planning, historical, and humans' perceptions. I mean, and obviously, it sounds as if Ulrika has been thinking about this.
And if I can just interject, which is why it's so wonderful to have so many people around a table from different disciplines talking about a project before it starts. Because I think it sets the scene for really good creative thinking.
So what is your...
We're having lunch at, I think if Ulrika wants to say what she wants, but lunch will be in that room over there when we're ready.
I just wanted to say that the Albanian government actually made quite a huge leap forward in the energy sector at the moment regarding formalizing the energy sector, especially the consumption part. And so there's a great chance actually to be a regional frontrunner on this, I think, for Albania, how to use regenerative energy and minimizing consumption in the future. So we also discussed this a lot in the municipality during my time there, and there was a Sustainable Energy Action Plan developed, and it's a good document as a resource. But actually the local government, this is really a national government issue at the moment, so the local government actually can only support that issue, but they are totally dependent on what the national government is doing in this respect.
Well, if I can make one last remark on the energy bit, I think not everything was bad about communism, and one thing that actually did work well is that because Albania was so isolated, which meant they didn't have any trading partners, it developed a system of producing energy solely by using water sources. So it's probably one of the only countries in the world, 100% of the energy is hydropower. We don't have any thermal power plants, we don't have any coal plants, we don't have any nuclear plants. And because we were sort of isolated, we developed a system of producing energy purely by river streams. So that legacy turned out, to pay off in the long run, because now, as many of our neighboring countries are thinking about shutting down the coal plants and finding alternative energy, Albania is purely so. In the city of Tirana, we've also gone a bit further. The water that gets from the sources in the mountain, the springs, first goes through these turbines and produces 5 megs of energy before it then hits the water pumps to go to the people's homes. So we produce. First, we produce energy from the water that's coming from the mountains, and then the water goes through the treatment plant to then go to individual taps at the household. So actually our energy bill for the city is zero, meaning city lighting and public building energy use. So I think it wasn't designed this way, but it turned out to be a good, the purpose was not that, but it turned out to be a good outcome. And I think it could be promoted in other cities as well. One of the few things that works actually perfectly well at zero cost for cities.
Isn't the water flow, this is in southern France, northern Italy, the flow of water decreasing? I mean, the statistics suggest quite significant reduction.
We have
rainfall and river flow.
We are very lucky. We're at the feet of a huge mountainous range.
Yeah.
So the water that comes, and the amount of what you need for city lighting, we're not talking a huge amount of energy. 5 megs is we use about 3.8, so we still have some left to sell to the grid. So in that regard,
well, this is a regional grid outside of the country.
Right. But because we have our own hydropower plant. That uses the water that comes for actually city water, for the water utility.
So you export it, do you? Do you export the electricity on the grid or not? Was that an internal grid?
No, outside of the country, no.
Yeah.
The electricity company does. We sell to them.
Exporting
whole-
water, on the other hand, may become a very big business.
Well, you
in the
know,
future.
it was now that Albania has started physically implementing the Trans-Adriatic pipeline, which will take oil and gas from the Azeris through Turkey, Greece, Albania, and southern Italy. It has revived an older project with the Italian government from Puglia in southern Italy, where they have very little water, of getting water from Albania and using
Yeah,
sort of some of this infrastructure
Yeah.
that will be built.
So shall we?
Yes,
Thank you very much.
thank you. So if we can come back at 2, please.